The fossil Pokemon gimmick is a fun one. Take the concept behind Jurassic Park, which was all the rage when the first Pokemon games came out, and just apply that to Pokemon. Thanks to the power of science, you can create genetic clones of ancient Pokemon, from a T-Rex to a pterodactyl, and even an ancient horseshoe crab and an Archaeopteryx. A lot of the fossil Pokemon have been a lot more creative than just, it's a dinosaur, and I really like that. Even if some of the other ones are just, it's a dinosaur. So, I wanted to apply a bit of creativity to the fossil Pokemon of this fan concept region we've been making, the Kaskade region, which is based on the Pacific Northwest. Now, North America has all sorts of unique dinosaur fossils, but being such a northern corner of the country, I thought, hey, why not be a bit more recent than dinosaurs? By which I mean, a lot more recent than dinosaurs. That's right, I'm talking about the Ice Age. Rather than finding fossils or amber in the ground, let's find some specimens frozen in glaciers. This particular region was very lively during the Ice Age, until they all died of the floods. But basically, here's what the ice sheet looked like back then. Most animals didn't live on the ice sheet, because that's silly, but plenty lived just south of it, which happens to be right here. So let's cover these ideas for Ice Age fossil Pokemon that the artist Nani Nani and I came up with.
Oh, it's super cold out here. I guess it could be worse, though. I could be completely drenched in ice. At least my feet are dry, thanks to these amazing waterproof shoes from Vessi, today's sponsor.
That's right, it's Vessi, comfortable, durable, style, and waterproof shoes with a carbon footprint that's 600% smaller than your average sneakers, which will help keep the next ice age away.
Vessi's waterproof sneakers are super great because you can step in a puddle and it could be the coldest puddle ever, but your shoes, your toesies will be fine because they won't be wet because it's waterproof. And they come in a wide variety of styles and colors. They're all super comfy and super flexible, and I need a towel.
Plus, they've got antimicrobial insoles to keep your feet fresh. All this makes them perfect for the rainy weather that's coming up. Plus, right now, you can use the link in the description to check out their early Black Friday sale. But if you miss it, you can still get $25 off with the coupon code Lockstin. So, a huge thanks to Vessi for supporting this channel and this series especially. Check them out with the link below, and again, the coupon code is Lockstin. Now, even before the popular movie Ice Age, if you were to walk up to someone on the street and ask them for the first Ice Age animal that pops into their head, odds are their answer would either be mammoth or a saber-toothed tiger. Now, we already have two Pokemon based on these, Mamoswine, a mammoth crossed with a wild boar, and Raikou, the legendary beast. So, while I'd say Mamoswine has the mammoths covered, Raikou, being a legendary, we should get a more common saber-toothed tiger. But before I actually show you them, let's get some overall context out of the way. There are two overall ideas I wanted to achieve with these Ice Age mon. One is that, compared to dinosaurs, which existed 245 to 66 million years ago, Ice Age animals aren't even all that old. Most going extinct between 1 million and 10,000 years ago. A few mammoths were still walking around while the pyramids were being built in Egypt. And because of this, I wanted all of these Ice Age Pokemon to clearly be ancestors of other certain Pokemon, like how Archeops is said to be the ancestor to all bird Pokemon, only this time it will be a lot more specific. Not so much, it's the ancestor to all blank Pokemon, and more so, it's the ancestor to these one or two lines, as you'll see. The second thing has to do with their typing. You know how every fossil Pokemon besides these messed up scrambled ones are part rock type? This likely has to do with the revival process, bringing them up from fossils, which are rocks. Or it's a reference to the hard and strong bodies most dinosaurs and such creatures had. Or it's just because Stone Age. Haha, Flintstones! Well, I wanted something similar for the Ice Age Pokemon, but since they aren't actually fossils, they wouldn't be rock. So the outcome of this should be obvious. They are all ice type. Ice types, being immune to hail and freezing, are perfectly fit for an extra cold environment. Much more survivability in such a extremely cold time of history. even south of the ice sheets. And now, if you were a prime predator like the saber-toothed tiger, and all of your prey was ice type, you would probably want to be something super effective against it, right? So this. It's Fever, a saber-toothed tiger cub, and it's fire ice type. The name comes from feline, fur, burr, and fever. You see, it's caught a cold, and now runs a high body temperature. The idea, I think, being that they are born with only ice and normal moves. But as they get older and get more experience and become later leveled, they start learning fire-type moves. But during this adjustment process, they aren't used to all the body heat, so they essentially have a fever. Poor dears, it's like a cub chew. And that's why one of its big icicle fangs is shaped like a classical thermometer. So, media has depicted these creatures many different ways in terms of their fur patterns. Some make them plain, like a puma, others make them striped, like a tiger, and others spotted, like a leopard. And apparently, what today is considered the most accurate is actually a mix of spots and stripes. But rather than make these Pokemon's pattern complicated, we decided to split them up a bit. Spots on the cub, stripes on the adult. And speaking of that adult, this is Viseer, a fire ice type prime predator who strikes a fine balance between hot and cold. When inactive, its claws and teeth freeze over, forming icicles, but when it chooses to attack, it can heat them both up, striking with a fiery claw attack or a searing bite with a vice grip. Which brings me to its name origins. It comes from sear, vice grip, visceral, vifer, which means cunning, sly, or sharp in Latin, and there's also vizier, a high-ranking government dude, especially one who is cunning and sly in most media, and also being so high-ranking works because Viseer is the top predator. It's all high and mighty. Fear me, peasants! Now, I have two ideas for a unique ability here. Let me know what you think. Either its attack and special attack stats start out even, and every time it uses a fire move, its special attack rises, but physical lowers, and the opposite is true of ice moves. Or, if that's too complicated, we could ignore special attack altogether and make it a physical attack beast, and its ability causes its attack to go up every time it uses a fire or ice move. That, to me, seems a lot simpler. Its signature move, Frostburn, has flying press properties, as in it technically is only one type, probably ice, but it's functionally two types, those being fire and ice. It will act as if it were a fire or ice type attack, depending on whichever would do more damage. This makes sense, as, like I said, this Pokemon can choose to keep its teeth and claws frosty, or heat them the heck up. This line are the ancestors mainly to the Pyroar, Incineroar, and Persian lines, and also the Kaskade region's own Cascadian Luxray, which I am now deciding is the original Luxray. Sonoran Luxray came from it. Now, what is a predator without something to prey upon? This is the Psychic Ice type Fisnooze, clearly an ancestor to Drowsy and Musharna. It's based on the Phiomia, an elephant of sorts. But we're making it a lot smaller. The Phiomia is also what it is named after, but mixed with the word snooze. It puts others to sleep using psychic signals by waving its trunk around, similar to Hypno. The psychic energy is stored in its snout after all, and it is also very sensitive to other psychic waves in the air thanks to its antenna tail. It uses it to connect with the herd. This herd is not only Fisnooze though, but also its evolved form, Telemac, which also makes this line an ancestor to Girafarig. It's based on the Macrochania, and like its Prevo, it stores its psychic energy mainly in its snout. But it's expanded out into its brain chamber as well. They live in large herds and can communicate telepathically pretty easily thanks to their antenna tails and snout shaped like a telephone. And also a macaroni noodle. It's even able to whisper things into other Pokemon heads telepathically, which can lead to confusion. This functions as its signature move, Overbearing Command. It's basically Confuse Ray, causing guaranteed confusion. However, it has a 30% chance to cause sleep instead, and if the Pokemon is already confused, this rises to 80%. The idea here is they start telepathically giving commands to stop, rest, and sleep to the enemy, which the Pokemon gets confused by. Is this a command from my trainer? Is it not?
Stop.
What's going on?
Sleep.
My head is
Take a
spinning
breather.
with commands.
Stop attacking.
It's taking a toll.
Sleep.
Overstimulating me.
Stop hitting me.
Ah! It's a little ominous and creepy, really. Really sort of alien, even. So let's get back down to Earth with an ice ground type Macedontis, based on the Glyptodon and Doedicurus. It has an icy mace tail, hence the mace in its name, and it is a slow, defensive beast. Physical and special. And its back armor is shaped like an American military helmet during World War II, and the head armor resembles the ancient Greek boar tusk helmet, one of the earliest helmets in history, which is also referenced in the name, as this region is home to the Mycenaeans and Macedonians. And on top of this hard shell, it also digs into the ground, forming a little bunker for itself, leaving only its armor and attacking mace exposed. And if you couldn't tell, it's an ancestor to sand shrew, maybe even Torterra. Maybe. Its signature move, Frosty Fortification, is basically Baneful Bunker, but it causes damage with a small chance of freezing rather than poisoning their attacker. And lastly, Rhinorast, a rock ice-type ancestor to Rhyhorn based on the woolly rhino. The name comes from cryo, rhino, frost, and rost, as in Pokemon, the Rost Berry is a berry that heals the burned status condition because it is cold and icy, just like this Mon. It charges into its opponents with the force of a glacier, as it has a mountainous glacier on its back. Some say that a herd of these are able to move entire glaciers and mountains as well, and they are said to have stopped the Ice Age glacier from encroaching into the Kaskade region over 100 millennia ago. But despite their powerful and gruff demeanor, they are actually quite sweet. They care about protecting others more than anything. They're like those super fluffy St. Bernard Avalanche rescue dogs, rushing out into the snow to save somebody. Except it's a rhinoceros. And there you go, that's all. Plop these next to a Mamoswine and Regice and boom! Ice Age Pokemon. The revival process of which is similar to Fossilmon, only you find frozen remains, like a frozen trunk or frozen armor plating in a hunk of ice. And of course, these are all exclusive to one of the two versions, Blazing Bloom having Viseer and Crinorast, and Frigid Fall having Telemac and Macedontis. Exclusives are important, I guess. So, let me know what you think down below. How would you further improve these ideas? And which are your favorite? Thanks so much for watching, and until next time, never stop using your noggin.